Welcome to Flourish. You guys are in the right spot. Welcome. We're gonna get started here in a minute. So excited to see everyone. Oh my goodness, look at the flowers. I already see you. Yay. Welcome. Yes, type in the chat where you're tuning in from if you want to get ahead of the first question of the evening. Welcome. We're gonna start here in a second.
Oh, this map is so cool.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to start here in a minute. If you guys just want to drop in the chat where you're tuning in from.
We have a Boston. That's where we're
Yes.
located.
How exciting. Okay, I feel like it's a good time to get ahead and get started. If people start to join while I'm talking, just drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. How exciting tonight is floral arranging. Welcome to Bloom Where You Are Planted, our Flourish event. We're so excited to have you here for a special evening of floral arranging with Lexi Palumbo. Tonight is all about creativity, connection, and embracing the beauty of the season. Floral arranging is such a meaningful way to express yourself, slow down, and create something that brings joy, not just in the moment, but long after. With Lexi guiding us, we'll learn the art of building a beautiful arrangement from selecting blooms to balancing colors, textures, and shapes. Whether you're someone who regularly works with flowers or you're just trying this for the very first time, this is the space to explore, have fun, and let your creativity flourish. We're so glad you're here. Let's get this evening blooming. Flourish events like these are made possible thanks to our dues paying alumna. Your continued support keeps our program vibrant, relevant, and full of connection. If you haven't yet paid your dues or need a quick refresher, simply visit the Pay Dues tab on the Kappa website. We will be hosting a giveaway tonight for a couple lucky sisters. The terms and conditions of the giveaway are available on the event listing of the Kappa website. You must be present to win, so if we do pull your name, please make yourself known, unmute yourself, type in the chat, whatever it is. We thank you so much in advance. Before we dive in, we just wanted to get everybody warmed up and spread a little love with our first giveaway. Lexi is generously giving away a $50 gift card to a curated home store. As you'll see a map on the screen right now, drop in the chat where you're joining us from tonight, your city or state, and as you can see, we can see it fill up with Kappa sisters from far and near. We love seeing where everyone's tuning in from. It's amazing how far this sisterhood stretches. Let's see where everybody's tuning in from tonight. I think Lexi saw somebody from Boston, Atlanta, Georgia.
See
Yes,
everyone step back.
the map is full tonight, y'all. YK in Centennial, Colorado, Paris in California, Jill in Dallas, Rita in Austin, Melinda in Barrington, Illinois, Ann Seelig in Boston, Sandy in Ohio, Sam in Chicago, Brooke in Lafayette. There's a ton of people tuning in all over the country tonight, ladies. How exciting. I think the chat seems to be ready for us to pull our first winner. How does everybody feel about that? We're going to be pulling for the first winner of the giveaway, the $50 gift card to a home curated store. And the winner is Kate Tependo Schwarzenegger. Are you here? Are you here? I
Yes,
can
I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yay, Kate. Congratulations. I'll make sure to email you tomorrow to confirm your email mailing address. I think that's the best way that we're going to get that gift card to you. So I'll email you tomorrow. Now, I just want to introduce you guys to our elegant host of the evening, Lexi Palumbo, a sister from Massachusetts. Lexi Palumbo Floral Designs is a Boston-based floral and event design studio creating elevated, immersive experiences throughout New England and beyond. Founded by artist and creative director Lexi Palumbo, the studio is known for sculptural installations, romantic tablescapes, and refined floral environments that feel both modern and enduring. Blending organic movement with intentional design, Lexi approaches each celebration as a canvas, transforming spaces with artful composition, thoughtful detail, and emotive beauty. From intimate gatherings to large scale weddings and corporate events, she collaborates with top creative partners to craft environments that are not only visually striking, but deeply personal. At the heart of her work is one mission: collecting beautiful moments through flowers that shape the atmosphere and elevate the experience. We are so grateful to have Lexi with us this Flourish season and cannot wait to hear all of her artistic notes about floral arranging. Before we hand things over, Lexi, we wanted to share a quick snapshot of who's in the room tonight based on some of our registration questions. We wanted to know where most of our attendees fall on the flower spectrum. 50% are budding beginners, 44.6% are blossoming arrangers, and 5.4% see themselves as masters of petal and stems. We also wanted to ask, what are you most excited to learn? We have 68.1% who are looking forward to the floral arranging basics. We have 20.4% who are looking for a creative expression through floral design. We have 2.7% who are most excited about the community engagement. And then 8.8% are looking forward to slowing down through a mindful creative activity. So, Lexi, you're in a room filled with women who are ready to learn a skill that brings happiness and beautification to their lives. With that snapshot of tonight's group, we are so looking forward to talking to you and learning from you. Thank you for being here. The floor is all yours.
Oh, well, thank you so much for such a warm introduction. That was beautiful. I really appreciate that. And I'm so excited. I see that some of you have some flowers at home. Carol, thank you for having your camera on and ready to go. I see some of you are having some wine and relaxing, so this definitely seems perfect to slow down and have some community time. But just a little bit about myself. So I am Boston based. I started my business about 4 years ago. Brooke, I see your flowers. Beautiful. I started my business about 4 years ago. After I graduated from UMass Amherst, I had been looking for a job, kind of not sure what I was going to do, and I ended up at a car dealership. Funny enough, I was there for 4 years selling Chevrolets. And then when COVID happened, I had been accustomed to working almost 65 hours a week. It went down to 40. I'm like, well, I'm this workhorse now. What do you guys expect me to do? And they were like, well, you always are buying yourself flowers for your birthday and Valentine's Day. Why don't you work with our family florist? So the owners had actually suggested that I work with their family florist. And that's how I started to learn how to process the flowers in the morning, taking care. I would help her do deliveries in the afternoon and kind of seeing how the all women staff had worked together versus such a male dominated industry I'd been in before. I just wanted to create something like that for myself. And so it's really fun. 4 years in now, we've done weddings all over from Maine to Nantucket, Newport, Rhode Island, and everything has been repeat referral business. I'm so thankful to a lot of my friends from college. Even my little, she just reached out. Her sister-in-law is getting married, and so I'm doing the flowers for them in New York this August. So it's so fun to just see it all come full circle. And I'm excited. Let me know, am I good to start diving in and I can show you guys everything? Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Lexi.
yes. So the fun begins. Let me step back here. And then just give me sort of a thumbs up that you can still hear me okay. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to show you guys how to make just sort of my traditional arrangements. What's fun, especially with the power of social media nowadays, is there are so many crazy designs. But the first one I ever did, and I recorded myself and posted on Instagram, which then started to just get friends reaching out for their baby showers, bridal showers, is going to be a similar arrangement to what I'm going to teach you guys today. So starts with your vase. So you can just have any vase. You want to have more of a deep side when you're doing a vase like this because I love to have a lot of greenery. And so as you see, as we start to build anything that's a little bit more shallow, like I'm not sure if I have anything. Oh, kind of like this, like these, just a little fun flower tip. I use more of like a flower frog on shallow bases like this, but anything deep, I like to use the chicken wire. So I'm gonna put this back. So you want to start by making a ball out of your chicken wire. And so the purpose of this is once you start designing, you want to give the stem something to sort of grab onto. Uh, and this just helps keep everything in place once you start designing. So I'm gonna I like to clip both ends together and just keep going around in a circle. And this is the hardest part is once you make your ball and get your greenery placed, the flowers is easy to just sort of pop in at the end, but building your mechanics, that's the part that you want to make sure that you really get right. So once you're done, it will look like a little ball like this, just to make sure you guys can all see it. And when I put it in the vase, there is a certain direction I like to go. So this is sort of like the seam where when I folded it and it was closed is at the bottom. You don't really want that at the top. Just as you start to add more stems, pressure will open and you don't want it to come open and end up like a U shape. So I always like to stick it at the bottom when I put it in. And then this way too, all of the horizontal lines on the grid should be going left to right as I put it in. And then from there, I always use flower tape. So if you're at home, one thing I always say, I'm just going to put one strip across. But if you don't have chicken wire and you don't have, flower tape, you can use a regular Scotch tape. And what I recommend in those cases is you just make a almost like a tic-tac-toe board as a grid. So you would put, two extra strips going this way, two extra strips going that way. And that way it will just help to give that support that you're going to need as you start to build. But if you have the chicken wire and just one piece of tape across the front, you're good to go. And then, of course, you want to add your water. So when you are getting flowers, whether it's from the grocery store, or if you do have a flower market near you, I got these off from the market today. They will drink a lot of water that first day. So when I'm doing arrangements, say for a wedding or anything else like that, I will fill this almost right to the top because by the end of the night, and I start prepping 3 to 4 days in advance, it will soak up almost half of the water. So you want to make sure you're always filling it to the top if you're just getting fresh flowers. They get transported all over the world. So you just want to make sure that they are staying hydrated. And then I use a liquid flower food just because we do so much. So you just put a dash in there. Again, if you're getting flowers from the supermarket, I'm sure it has the little packets that you can use. Um, and then before I get started on the greens, I wish I had processed all of these today, but when I get flowers from the market, they don't look nice and clean like this. They are filled with stems and thorns. So I wanted to just show you one of my favorite little tricks. You can probably get these off Amazon if this is something you want to do more regularly. And it's just a leaf stripper. So you would just take the leaves and you just go like that and all the thorns and everything comes off. It makes it super quick and easy. Um, but we are going to get started. So first, I like to start with my greenery. We are going to, I use a few different types. So we're going to start with some lemon leaf. Let me just grab a few more stems here. And
Lexi, could you remind what the tape configuration was? Somebody asked in the chat to double check right before she starts hers.
oh, yeah. So I use a waterproof tape. You can get these at Michael's as well. And if you don't have any tape, you can make a grid, like a tic-tac-toe board. If you even just had Scotch tape, make sure to wipe the edges just so there's no water. And so you want to do almost like two lines going this way and then two lines going that way. Anything to just help. So once we start plugging the flowers in, it will give it a little bit of a home to keep that structure once you get the greens in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. Let me know if any other questions come up. I can't see that far. I should have worn my glasses. Um, so I like to start with a few different types of green as well. I know if you were to go to like a Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, usually they have a lemon leaf, a darker green. They'll have a eucalyptus, which is nice. I'm gonna use this lighter greenery. And I honestly am not sure what the name of it is. I just saw it today at the market and it happened to be blooming little flowers. And so it kind of smelled really pretty. So that's why I chose it today. But so you just want to pick a few different types of green. I think it helps create a more whimsical look. And then when you're looking at a stem, so everything is natural. So it doesn't have to exactly look like mine. It can be very wild, but you'll see they kind of have like a natural curvature to them one way or another. So when I'm looking at this leaf here, I see that its stem wanted to go this way. So as I go to put this in, I'm going to cut this. So I'm going towards the left. And what I like to do is create almost a half moon shape or a rainbow. So you want to go left to right, start looking at which way the leaves are naturally turning. Anything that's kind of straight, I like to put towards the back. And again, we're just building our base. The one tip I'll say, and where people make a lot of mistakes, is they cut these too short. So you don't want to cut it short. If it is a smaller stem, I just peel the leaves off and I'll stick it towards the back. And you just want to start placing, so you're going to create this shape here. And again, you don't want it to be too short. So I'm just going to keep going like this. And once I feel good, let me know if anyone has any questions. Little small pieces like this, I'll put back here and I'll turn this. So I always design on a Lazy Susan as well, because once you start adding in your flowers in the back, you never want it to look like there's any holes missing, whether it's on the back or the front. You want to make sure everything is fully covered. So I find it's easiest to just any sort of turntable that you have to do it on one of those. And I'm just going to keep plugging away. So ones like this, that you have multiple different stems on it, I don't like to just keep them all in and shove them in. So like I'll peel one part off and maybe place this coming towards the front here. Same thing, I'll probably just cut this little baby one off and then put this going towards the back. You don't want it to have a lot of different stems going in, like you want to go in different directions, but when it's on the same stem, you don't want it to be twisting and turning in a way you can't manipulate it. So we'll just keep going here. I think I want to grab a few more pieces of lemon leaf, but it's looking pretty good to just get my base. Let's see, I'm gonna grab maybe two more stems here. So again, same thing here. Like this is one, you don't want to keep these together just sticking out, because if you're looking at it from the front and you just put that right in, it's going to look a little twisty-turvy, which we want to try to avoid. So we'll just pull this one off. This would be a good one to kind of stick in the front here. And as I'm doing this, and this is something I know a lot of people mentioned, like just beginners, you'll start to see little pockets as you're going of where you're going to put your bigger flowers, where you're going to put your roses. So you just want to keep adding those and then kind of finding spots where you know are going to be homes. I'm going to start adding in some of my bigger greenery here. So again, like all these little ones, I like to strip these off because I just think it starts ending a little bit too messy. You want it to look whimsical but intentional. So I like to strip those off. And then these are a great flower to sort of bend This is a fun one. And that's the thing too, like you never know what you're going to get. One like this, I actually might keep a little bit, might keep this one whole because this is just really, really fun. So if I put this more in the middle, I think that's going to help give that shape. So as you can see, as I'm going, you're starting to see this, rainbow shape that we're trying to build. And so I want to make sure I have some that are kind of draping over the front, that are going to be draping over the back. And I just want to make sure that those are going to be covered. Those ones I'm going to trim off.
Mhm.
So I'm going to start spinning this around. I don't want to have a bald head in the back. And I really like how this one is just naturally hanging. Yeah. So you just want to keep going around. So right now, the purpose of adding in all the greenery too is we want to just make sure that we're covering our mechanics. You never want there to be a centerpiece on the table and people look in and they see all the chicken wire and the tape and everything that we started with. We want to make sure that we're covering all of that. And even if you're doing a larger piece on the ground and you have foam and tape, you always just want to make sure you're covering that. So once we're good with that, think I have a few extra pieces here. And this green that I'm using here, this is really nice too. Like if you ever had any little bud vases, uh, those pieces that I stripped off, like these little tiny ones, I mean, those are just perfect to toss in a little bud vase and kind of make also little mini arrangements as you're going. So this feels good. I'm going to add one more piece in the middle. And then once we have our greenery done and our base, we're gonna start with our focal flowers. So that's gonna be your bigger flowers like hydrangeas, any of your roses. Um, this was at the market. These were a fun treat. I think they're like Vernon something, but they remind me of little hydrangea balls. So I got some of these. They're really fun. And even if you didn't have this or access to a market, you could go outside and I'm sure see these start to grow in the wild. I pull so many leaves and stems and flowers just from the ground and the nature outside. So you want to start just adding in those bigger moments. So let's see, I'm going to plug this in over here. Again, keeping in mind that left to right shape. And as you're looking at each stem, pulling anything extra here, this one really wants to go to the right on that side. And you want to look and just make sure that you're lining it up. And so when you're looking at it, so like I want this to kind of fall right here. So if the stem was any longer, I'd know I need to cut it or not, but you just want to line it up with your vase as you're doing it. Pop that one into the front. Let's see, I might put one last one in the back here. And so as I start to get more intricate with my flowers, I have a little recipe that I like to keep in mind. So it starts sort of in the front corners, and then I want to make sure that I'm covering my back. So when I'm looking at this and as I was going, I know that I want one of my big focal flowers to land right here. So this space is still kind of open. So I know I'm going to want to put maybe like a hydrangea here. As I'm looking again on the sides, I want to make sure that once this spins around, that all my angles are going to be covered. So let's see what we have next.
Lexi, a question came in about cutting the stems. I
Yeah,
believe it's how you cut the stems again.
yeah, that's a great question. So for all of rule of thumb, you want to cut on a diagonal, especially when it comes to roses. It's just going to help increase the surface area of how much the flower can drink. The one that's different is actually going to be hydrangeas. So when you cut the hydrangeas, and I'm going to do this down here, but I'm going to cut a little bit more. You want to cut at a diagonal, but then you also want to slice up the middle. They need a lot of water. So whenever you get hydrangeas too, hopefully it comes with the quick dip. I will actually, if I have like a wedding, I'll dip the stem in powder and then I have an extra bucket of water that just has the quick dip in it and I'll dunk the heads in the day before as well because flowers will drink from their leaves and their petals as well as the stem. So you want to just make sure you're especially hydrangeas, very New England flower. You are hydrating the heck out of these. But yeah, rule of thumb is you want to cut everything on a diagonal so it has more surface area, except for your hydrangeas. You'll cut at a diagonal, and then you want to slice that right up the middle. And then, so as we're going, and I don't want to keep going too fast. How is everyone doing that's also designing? Are we feeling good? Should I come? Let me know if you want me to come up and stop and take a look into the screen. I don't want to go too fast.
I'm seeing lots of good thumbs ups and
Okay.
working hands. So I think they're doing good for now. But if anybody
Okay, if anyone needs me to take a pause, I will take a pause, but we'll keep moving. Um, so yeah, so as you can see, once you start designing, you want to make sure you're covering your pocket. So I already knew I wanted something in the front corner. I'm gonna have something coming to the left, and I might put something in the back right, but we'll see as it looks you want to do it one at a time, and depending on how you're creating your arrangement, everything is a little bit different. So I like this hydrangea here. And one thing too, hydrangeas are a really big flower. So don't be afraid to manipulate it. And if you have to cut, a little chunk off, it breaks my heart, but sometimes you have to do it because they're just so big and you don't want it to be too overpowering. You want it to look nice. And sometimes you just have to trim a little bit. So as I'm going, I know I want that to, so as you can see, I'm lining this up with the bottom of my vase here. I know I'm gonna want to go in at a diagonal to fill this pocket here, and I want to cut it up just a little bit more and then slice it in the middle. So I want right here on the side to tuck that in. And so what's nice when you're using this method, which is the chicken wire and water, it's a lot easier to manipulate and have these flowy stems. What's very common is for people to use oasises, and that's going to be our green foam. And one thing that I would just say, if you are using green foam, it's nice because once you put it in a spot, it's going to stay there. But you don't want to get in the habit of putting the stem in, lifting it out, and stabbing a bunch of holes in it. Once you place it, you just place it and you keep moving as you go and you'll make it work at the end. It always works out, but you don't want to get in the habit of taking, readjusting because things start to fall and you mess up your placement. So I am going to put this one last hydrangea in my back corner. And we are going to have this kind of hanging out right here in the back. So you want to just be gentle. Get that fluff out. So once you're finished with, we have our greens, we're starting with our focal flower. I'm going to add one more rose. Roses I'm using as a focal flower. These are great at the market. They're not as expensive, so I can get a lot of packs and I can just start plugging these in. And so once we feel like we're comfortable with all of our focal flowers, we'll go back in with sort of our delicate ones. And that's going to be your accent flowers to really just make everything pop at the end. So what I'm doing here with the roses is I'm just flexing these. So it's when you start to bend the petals back, it helps open up the rose. And I just think it looks so much prettier once you open them up. If I'm doing a large wedding, this is part of our processing. So I'll have someone who will just spend a day flexing these roses. So that way, when I'm on site and I'm doing big installs, I can just pop, 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 pop these all right in. So I like to have a focal flower always kind of go opposite where my other one started. So since I put a hydrangea on the left here, I'm going to put this one on the right. I'm gonna have this go in. Roses, I love to use these because this will allow me to have extra height since they have such a strong stem. Some of my daintier flowers like ranunculus, which we'll get into, they're very top heavy. So sometimes you can wire them to just help keep their heads up, but that takes a really long time. So I use those very sparingly. And roses is where I'll definitely use to keep a lot of my height. So on this one, I know I want this to fall a little bit higher than where the rest of my arrangement's going. I think will be really pretty. So I'm going to keep this one up nice and high. And this is going to, again, really just help with getting that rainbow shape that we're trying to go for. So once you put in some of your taller stems too, and so I'll spin this around so you can see. You'll see things have a natural curve. So I know that I'm going to place this rose. So it's going to complement coming elongated from this stem here. And you don't want it to fight each other. You want everything to sort of complement as you go. So, I'm looking at that here. And by complement, that just means like I don't want them to be exactly the same height, maybe one a little bit lower, a little bit smaller, but I want it to follow that same line. It doesn't have to be the same height or too tall. And so with a regular arrangement, I'll probably use anywhere from 5 to 8 stems of one color. I do have some other little white spray roses, so I'm going to add some of those in. But it all just depends on how you would place your greenery and what the arrangement feels it needs. This one, I know I want to put sort of in the middle. So this one here is not so much so it can get seen. Once I start adding in my accent flowers, that one can be covered a little bit. I just want to make sure all angles, mechanics are covered. So we put a little one right there in the middle. I think I'm going to plug in 1, 2 here in the back, and then I'm going to move on to my next flower. And so one thing that you want to be mindful of when you're doing, especially the back of arrangements, if you want to take a step back, you want to look at it eye level, and you don't want it to look like everything is shooting up and backwards. If it was a centerpiece on a table, you want that to be eye level with the rest of the people. So you don't want it, you want to make sure that some of these stems are coming almost down, like down at a diagonal so it's touching the water, but it's not facing straight up, it's angled outward. And that's just going to help with your overall shape and dimension as you're doing this. One thing to note as you're doing this, when you see your roses, you can always pull off that outer layer. So this is going to be called your guard petals. These are typically a little bit brown. You don't need them. You can pull them right off. That's just to protect the flower while it's growing. If you're using, the flexing method, sometimes I'll keep them on just because it helps with opening up the rose. But if you are at the market and you're like, ooh, those ones are kind of brown, it's probably just the guard petals that you can pull right off. Let me see, I might. Off to the side here. All right. So as you can see, she's looking very whimsical. All of the stems are creating that half moon shape. And now I want to start to add some of my spray roses. These you can also probably find at, your local Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. What I like about these when I'm designing, especially for weddings, is these stems that are hanging off the edge are very long. So these are great to set aside and plug into bud vases, especially because bud vases are so small. You don't need big roses that are in there. They'll most likely even tip the bud vase right over. So keeping those handy, you can just plug those in. And then from there, I think I might even trim this little one off. I'll start plugging these in. Again, I want to follow my lines here. I love how this green flower was really leading. This one up here. That's pretty. So this is where it starts to get fun because now it's pretty full. You're really just playing around with some additional placement and you're working on just the flower part. Your base is done. So you're just making sure you're filling in all the areas. So I like this little white in the front. I'll probably put two more back here. And then I'm going to move on to my accent flowers. And with these little spray roses, again, you could sit here and flex all of these. That would take forever. That I typically don't do. Once these get to water, like a lot of these are still pretty closed just because they're only a day old, but these will open up naturally on their own and be really pretty. And so when I'm buying flowers, depending on what I'm using it for, I buy different types of flowers. So I mainly focus on larger weddings, corporate events, baby showers, bridal showers, things that I really just need flowers to last a day. But if you wanted them to be for your kitchen and you were hosting a party, you wanted to be able to stay a little bit longer, you definitely want to look for flowers that are a little bit closed. That way, once you put them in water, you get an extra day or two to watch them open up and bloom. I really want when I'm at the market, I focus on getting flowers that are already a little bit open just because I want them to look nice and full on wedding day. And then after that, well, I'm not sure if you guys have had a lot of weddings or anyone getting married yet, but sadly, you just have to let them kind of die after that. But so this looks really good. This is how we have everything nice and full. These are all of our focal flowers. And then from here, we're going to start to add in our accent flowers. So I got some of these Lysianthus. Again, these are definitely having their moment right now. I think that they're another great stem that is just very tall and will come out. You can definitely find these also at a local grocery store. And they're just so pretty. It's always funny. People love to ask what my favorite flower is, and it just changes all of the time. I love them all equally. I'm sure people say that about their kids. I love all my flowers equally. But these just look so beautiful. And again, here you really, this is where it gets fun. You just want to start plugging these in, spinning around, making sure all angles are covered. So I'll probably trim that little guy off and trim that one. I don't want that too long in the back. And again, so as I'm going, I would keep this whole little pile for just bud vases. They're so easy. They'd be perfect that you could just, if you had company coming over, you could pop a bud vase in the bathroom, maybe have one on the kitchen sink. Just always places for bud vases. I always keep a fresh bud vase right on my countertop in the kitchen. That brings me joy. So I got so one thing as you're designing and you're picking colors, you also want to make sure you're looking for color and texture. So as you can see, like the greens I got two different textures. The little hydrangeas are two different textures. The roses, we have some spray, we have some regular ones. And I wanted to make sure that everything it always looks whimsical. So I love to play around with different colors and textures. I loved these little, they're like butter ranunculus. So I wanted to get those. I thought those would add a lot of just like spring pop to this arrangement. Keep them up there. I want this one to come out, and they're just nice. You can pop them in anywhere. These were just so pretty. I think that's going to be enough of the yellow because I also got these pink ranunculus. I typically will not get two of the same type of flower. Usually I'll get a ranuncula and then a scabiosa, but unfortunately there was no scabiosas that were available at the market today. So I chose to get two of these different colors because they looked really different. And these pink ones were just really big in comparison to the yellow, so I thought it would give a different look. But I would typically not get two of the same accent flowers. But depending on what's available, we make exceptions. This one, making sure it's coming out facing the back. We don't want to bring it back. So pretty. And then I also got some sweet pea. Sweet pea is just, it's so gentle. And I think it pulls together every single arrangement. You can get it mainly year round, which is also really nice. But it looks best in the spring. Man. So I just sometimes goes down. Cut the line with that. So stunning. So, and then last but not least, I'm gonna add some of these. I'm not sure if you have seen these. These are also definitely having their moment online right now. These are anthurium. Between the anthurium and amaranthus, which is that long droopy green, if you've ever seen that, those two are absolutely fighting for attention right now. But they are so pretty. They definitely will have, oops, a bend to them, whether you're going to the right or the left. So you want to be mindful of where you want that in your design. But I'm going to leave this spot that I was saving right for the front. And these ones I'll definitely use sparingly. These are a more expensive flower. So you want that to go. Not too much, but just as an additional accent. How do I want that to hang? There we go. That's its home. And so then you can just kind of look, because I always go for such a big whimsical design, sometimes you have to trim a little bit and maybe add once you see it. But you also have to know when it's time to stop. And that's where things get very hard at the end as you just keep adding and adding and adding. You have to know when to put down your scissors. So I think this feels really good. Um, and then these are all my lovely little scraps that I usually keep an extra box next to me. Um, but this will just be a nice, full, luscious spring arrangement. Keep everything very bouncy and moving. Uh, it's just So to put a bow on it, when you're looking for flowers, you want to make sure you're looking for color, textures that are all going to complement each other. You want to make sure you're looking for your base, which is going to be, 2 to 3 different types of greenery. You want to have, again, 2 focal flowers, which was our hydrangeas and our roses. And then you want to play around with your accent flowers. So that's going to be my sweet pea, the 2 different types of ranunculus, and the anthurium that we had today. That was a little special treat. But just like that, here she is. So cutie. And I'm not sure if there's any questions.
I was gonna say, are you ready? We have a few questions that I can read
Yeah.
out to you guys. I'm gonna pop them on the screen so that if anybody has similar ones or maybe some inspiration.
Yes, let me come up a little bit closer.
Oh,
Oh,
yes. If you
and
want to, somebody
before,
had asked earlier if you could zoom in on your arrangement. I said that we
yeah.
would probably wait till you're done. So if that could also be a good time to do that.
Okay, I will come and bring it up a little bit closer. One thing I forgot, I did have some of these leaves that I got. I didn't want to put it in this arrangement because this was a more elegant look. But these have been so fun. If you've ever seen these on Instagram. So a little trick I've been using, I like to go for ones that have like a nice white stripe. And you just want to cut the stem so it's a little bit shorter and you poke it through the end of the leaf and I'll plug it in to show you. I wouldn't keep it in this arrangement, but you can play around with them. They look so fun. And it's just an easy trick to elevate any arrangement. It's something different and it's so easy to just take the stem and then poke it through and place that. And these are also good because they don't necessarily need water. So even if you had it just kind of sticking out like that to be an accent, it would last you throughout your event. But let me bring this up a little bit closer.
Thank you.
Everyone can see. I'm going to take it out for now because this arrangement just did not call for that. So here's the finished arrangement. And so this is what I'm saying. So like as you look at it,
We can't see. You're showing the questions instead.
Oh, here, I'll stop sharing my screen
oh,
then.
sorry.
No, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, so as you can see, when you rotate and turn this, there's just flowers from every angle. So that's your goal and why I started with saying I like to use the Lazy Susan. So you can really build that. And then it's nice and whimsical. So this is why you don't want to cut your stems too short. So it really just drapes. And then, as you build, like I said, like your focal flowers, like they'll all tuck into those little pockets with the greenery. And then where you get that height and flowiness for that rainbow shape, I feel like I'm like the girl that just said like rainbow and half moon all day. But that's where you get these like taller accent stems from.
Yay, thank you.
Yep. So let me move this aside. And then if we want to put those questions back up.
Perfect. Our first question is, do you have a recommendation on good scissors or clippers?
Yeah, so I use these two. These are what I will pretty much use all of the time. You can get these at any like, Home Depot, Lowe's. They're really gardening shears, but especially for any sort of greens, roses. I use a lot of branches stuff. These are perfect. But with your daintier ones, you can get these off Amazon. These are just flower scissors. I get them in large packs because when I do have flower workshops, they're easy to use and they're very affordable. So I'll use these. This is great for hydrangeas when you want to cut up the middle or, your ranunculus. Like they have a very soft stem. So like even just as you can see, like sometimes when I go to cut it with these, like it absorbs right into it. Like it won't cut through as nice as when you just have your regular scissors and it just snips it off. So I like to always keep two on me.
The next question is, does the technique of pulling down the outside rose petals help the rest of the rose bloom, or is it a design choice?
Design choice. So I'll also just like pull up one closer. So as you can see, like there's these like it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but there is a little bit of browning that goes around the flower here. Like see, like these. So you can just pull these off, or I like to bend them. But again, it's just so it stays opened. And if you're looking at an arrangement again, I'm focusing on weddings or bigger events, and you have a photographer that's taking a picture from across the room, they're going to be able to see this flower if it's opened better than if it was closed. But sometimes, depending on what the design calls for, I'll flex them and then I'll just lightly fold them back. If I want them just slightly opened, but I don't need them all the way opened. But yeah, mainly
Well,
just.
do you have any suggestions for types of greenery for a vase of irises?
I don't have any specific uh suggestions, but my go-to is always the lemon leaf. Like I almost use lemon leaf for everything just because it's affordable and it plugs in really nice with just about the majority of flowers. So I always say lemon leaf.
Do you remove the leaf off of an iris when making your arrangement?
I do. I pull the leaves off just about everything.
How can you know when you need some space in your arrangement?
You'll know if you just take a step back, when you're designing and you're on top of the arrangement, it is really hard to see what the arrangement needs. So, very often, I'll take a step back and you'll be able to see, oh, there's a big hole here if something's missing, or I need to add, I don't know what it is. And I'll even step away. Sometimes I'll work on a bigger floor piece or I'll work on a stage moment and then I'll come back and I'll relook at it. I'm like, oh, I forgot I had, that scabiosa and I'll put that in there. But as you just take a step back and you look and you turn, you'll know if it needs something. There'll be a big hole. And kind of similar to if you're, looking for an outfit when you go out. Sometimes you think something looks really nice and you take a picture in it and you're like, that actually looks horrible. So, same thing. If you go to take a picture of your flowers and you're looking at it like, oh, that doesn't look right, you'll know if you need to add something. I take pictures of it too, and that kind of tells me what I'm missing.
Our last question is, do you have any recommendation for books about floral design or arranging, or any online resources that you specifically like to utilize?
I do. I don't know if you'll send out an email after this. The book is above my bed. I always keep it there and it just has every single flower known to man, and it's color coordinated. So it was super helpful when I was getting started of learning different flower types, and it tells you when they're in season. And that's always kind of my go-to guide, especially for brides. A lot of the time they'll say, "Oh, I want peonies," and it's an August wedding, and people are actually surprised that peonies are a December winter flower. So it helps with all of the seasons. And then just some fun other books. I love to keep these around. Like this is one. You can actually get it from my friend who one of the gift cards is the Hive. So I got it from her shop. It's called Hydrangeas. This is all about hydrangeas. I think the same author has one about ranunculus. So I'll send a few different books that I like. And then even my mentor has a French book with her designs in it as well. So I will get you those because I definitely have a lot of books that I like.
Yay, thank you. So now, everybody, we're going to wrap up this evening with our final giveaway of the evening. And like Lexi said, it's a gift card to another home curated store. So we want to make you guys one of the ultimate hostesses. So please, in the chat, let us know what you're taking away from this floral arranging event that we just had with Lexi. Oh, lots of thank yous. Yes, thank you, Lexi.
Oh, of course, this was my pleasure.
This was so much fun. But what are you guys taking away? What did you learn? What are you going to take into your next arrangement? Learning how to use greenery, the idea of using chicken
The
wire,
rainbow, I love
using a
that.
lazy Susan, using textures, lots of chicken wire, knowing when to stop, the roses info and hydrangeas. Oh, yes, the tip to the eye level. Loved it. Beautiful arrangement, how to build the rainbow, a way to arrange, assortment of texture versus colors, flexing rose petals, how to look at greenery. You guys really got a lot out of this. These
Yeah.
answers are amazing.
I love the taking pictures. Yes.
Yes. How to open up flowers by pulling the petals. Okay, I feel like the answers are ready for us to pull our next winner of the giveaway this evening for another gift card. What a fun way to end the night. So who's it going to be? Carol McCurry Sinclair, are you here? Can you unmute and tell me if you're here or if you're in the chat? If not, we can pull another. I'll wait a second or two to see if you're here. Carol? Okay, I don't hear you, Carol, so I'm going to pull somebody else. Okay, who's it going to be? Another chance? Congratulations. Jennifer Hughes McClure, are you here?
You want?
Yes.
Congrats, Jennifer. Thank
Yippee!
you. So exciting. I will
Thank
email you
you. Had the worst
tomorrow.
day. This is so awesome.
Oh, that makes me so
Yay!
happy. Well, not happy that you had a bad day, but happy that this turned it around.
Yes.
Yay! Well, congratulations, Jennifer. I'll email you tomorrow to get that gift card to you.
Awesome. Thank
So,
you.
of course. Wow, what a beautiful evening tonight. Thank you for coming and sharing your creativity and showing us that it comes to life and watching each of your arrangement take shape. And that was so special. The energy, the thoughtfulness, enjoying this space is exactly what makes Flourish events so meaningful. A huge thank you to Lexi for sharing her talent and guiding us through the art of floral arranging. Lexi, your tips, creativity, and encouragement made this experience feel approachable, inspiring, and so much fun. You helped all of us create something truly unique. And of course, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Taking the time to slow down, trying something new, and connect with one another is what this community is all about. We hope you all walk away with not only with a beautiful arrangement, but also a sense of creativity and inspiration you can carry with you. These events are made possible by our dues paying alumna, and your continued support allows us to keep creating engaging, joy filled experiences like this one. If you need to pay your dues or want a quick refresher, you can always head to the Pay Dues tab on the Kappa website. If you'd like to revisit tonight's conversation, rehear a favorite insight, relive a moment, the recording will be included in tomorrow's post event wrap up email. Now, we want to keep your eyes out for what's coming next. April 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern will be a burnout prevention and recovery discussion with Dr. Kate Steiner. Then, quickly following, May starts on the 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern with Tiffany De Lorenzo for a Bar 3 class. And finally, we're going to close out May with Girls Who Grow with a previous favorite Babs. You're not going to want to miss any of these. You will find all the links to the upcoming events in the chat or on the Kappa website, so be sure to save your spot. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. If anybody has their arrangement and wants to take a photo and hold it up to the screen with Lexi, that could be very fun, but no pressure if you don't want to share.
Oh, I would love
I could
that.
I can unspotlight Lexi so that everybody who has an arrangement, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Look at that. How fun. Yay. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Everybody's are so pretty.
I love it. It's so cute. And sorority meeting. I mean, not really.
Yay. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you, Lexi. This was awesome.
Thank you guys so much. This was so much fun.
Yay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.